Australia, farmers give volunteers paintings as a token of appreciation towards the help Tzu Chi provided. In our feature report, we take a look at the Sidik tribe people who were relocated after the Wushe incident. Selamat datang ke Daya Headline, saya Simon Gan. Terima kasih menyertai sesi berita kita. In New South Wales, Australia, volunteers have been providing food supplies to farmers suffering from the drought. The 8 recipients have prepared a surprise for the volunteers. Let's take a look.
The picture speaks for itself, as it has been 18 months already. The once inorganic land is now green once more. In New South Wales, Australia, a drought has been ongoing for 4 years. Starting last year, Tzu Chi had worked with a local church at Parks, providing long-term food aid to locals. 500 people are benefited each month. 2 photo paintings were given to Tzu Chi from the church. The imagery tells the beautiful stories of humanitarianism.
I'll give you this picture which showed where we all started together, where you came into this and really partnered with us and partnered with our community.
Yep.
And then we've all gone through that over the course of 18 months, hasn't it been? Really?
Yeah.
Quite a long period of time. A before photo and an after photo. And know that we have been through that together.
With Tzu Chi's donations, the farmers now may walk into the food bank as if walking into a supermarket, buying the supplies needed.
And it's been a terrific help to us. We really appreciate what you've done for us.
Your life's getting better now. The drought is broken.
Yeah, we've had a good season.
Yeah.
We didn't know at all, but as soon as we came together, we just knew that we had the same heart to love and care for people, and it's been such a privilege and a joy to work with your organisation.
Although farmers were terrified by the drought, Tzu Chi's love and care has sprouted both in the fields and in the hearts of people.
The complex fires in Northern California began to rage since mid-August. For the past 2 months, Tzu Chi Northern California chapter have hosted aid distribution for the locals 6 times.
The forest fire began to burn in mid-August. It has been the 6th time for Tzu Chi's Northern California chapter to send warmth to the affected residents in more than 2 months. This time, 53 households came to collect cash cards, and volunteers listened to them quietly about their lives after the disaster.
But you don't have to be a strong person to help anybody, you just have to be kind, and notice when people need the help, and be mindful.
The older couple has been married for 50 years. They did not expect that before they were about to celebrate their golden wedding anniversary, the wildfires would burn all the bits and pieces since their marriage to ashes. Yet the 2 elders are not depressed, but cherish each other more.
It can take away all the material possessions as it has for us, but it can't take away, a lifetime of experience, a lifetime. Of togetherness and the anticipation of looking forward to rebuilding.
Samson is a native living in the forest reserve. The fire also burned his home to nothing. Seeing Tzu Chi's volunteers come to host a distribution, he used music instead of words to express his gratitude.
You give me a blanket, I'm very grateful today that you honor me with that blanket, and thank you for the rice that I have. That I can eat it now, and a card for some more food. So every little thing helps, and I thank you for your love that you shared with me today, and I want to share back some love for you.
Under these special circumstances, the affected households relatively need more spiritual care. When we stand out to help, they will feel warmer.
The endless wildfires have scared everyone in California, but after every disaster, there is always a group of volunteers in blue and white uniform willing to listen to the suffering and comfort their pain, because love is a common language.
Tzu Chi Philippines chapter organized the second batch of aid distribution for jeepney drivers. In Quezon City, more than 2,000 people went to the distribution site. Here's more.
Jeepneys stopped operating due to the COVID-19 epidemic, and the drivers came to collect supplies for the second time.
I shared the first batch of supplies that the Tzu Chi Foundation gave me last time with my brothers and nephews, because they also don't have a job. They all ate at my home. That was our food for a month. Without this assistance, we might starve for more than a month.
Tzu Chi's rice and food packages were unloaded directly from the container truck and handed over to jeepney drivers. In order to ensure a smooth flow, many volunteers were needed to assist in the distribution.
My job was to drive a car, but I'm willing to help here instead of waiting in the car because I can help others.
The spread of the pandemic has affected many people's lives. Since work has been interrupted, some people preferred helping out with their hands.
When we do good deeds to help others, we feel very great as we see the people in need receive help. When we see the happiness of those who are helped from their faces, we'll also feel very happy.
The cycle of love is everywhere. Some jeepney drivers return the bamboo corn bands with donations to the distribution site, while the task force for transportation and traffic was around to dispatch jeepney drivers with electric tricycles.
Also in the Philippines, 57-year-old Reyes suffers from cataracts, making him unable to work. Fortunately, the landlord does not charge him rent and also brought him to the Tzu Chi Eye Center to receive treatment.
Reyes, 57, left his hometown to go to the city to make money by being a small vendor. However, starting in February, Reyes' vision became blurred due to cataracts, which seriously affect his work. Landlord Miko helps him to get through his difficulties.
I feel sorry for him since he is alone here. His parents are far away and could not take care of him. That's why I decided to take him to see a doctor.
With the assistance of Miko, Reyes went to the Tzu Chi Eye Center for treatment. When the volunteers learned of their financial situation, they arranged for them to attend Tzu Chi distribution to receive their necessities.
I feel very happy that someone is willing to take care of me. It's such a blessing that I have met very kind people during my stay here in Manila.
Tzu Chi held an aid distribution for tricycle drivers, and bottles filled with coins seem to be highlight of the event.
These are challenging times in terms of earning a living. That's why whenever we have spare coins, we make sure to save them up so that we can donate them to Tzu Chi. Tzu Chi needs these donations so that they can continue to help people in need.
To help others, whether poor or rich, as long as you have awareness, you are powerful.
This year marks the 90th anniversary of the Wushe incident, which saw indigenous people battle with the Japanese colonial forces. Later on, indigenous people from 6 communities were forced to move to the Qingliu village in Ren'ai Township. At that time, the Japanese government handled such relocation to break up the original social structure and ties within the tribal communities to facilitate easier management of these indigenous people. For a report as we trace this painful historical experience.
She is using indigenous language to worship her ancestors as today's report covers the Wushe incident, which happened many years ago, and is the adopted granddaughter of Mona Ludo. In the photo on the wall, the dark figure is Mona Rudo, and she is quite tall and impressive, and on the right is her daughter Mahong Mona, who is the adoptive mother of Zhang Temme. The yellowed photo vaguely reveals that there is a sorrow between Ma Hong's eyebrows. After all, she is the daughter of the surviving leader, which experienced many twists and turns of history. After protecting their home, they were moved to Fan's shelter. After moving to Qingliu village, she attempted suicide a few times but was rescued.
In the early years, the Japanese would come to monitor my mother frequently. Sometimes they would come and would be like this.
She has a special family status as they bear unspeakable pain, including leaving the ancestral land and being a member of the Tzu tribe of Qingliu village, which could not erase the helplessness and scars. Singing ancient tunes and weaving traditional rattan baskets, the Tzu warrior Zhang Chouseng awakened the historical puzzle one by one. Residents of the Qingliu village came from the 6 communities of Wushe. The year after the Wushe incident in 1931, the Japanese government prevented them from regrouping for war, so they forced them to migrate to this river terrace.
This place is like this, as there are 3 streams in the river basin, and the Japanese call it Chuanzhong Island.
The altitude here is about 480 meters above sea level, and it's much different in altitude from Wushe. After the people were forced to move to the Qingliu village, a wave of malaria soon occurred.
Poorly adapting to the new environment, the tribe's vitality was severely affected, was no longer able to fight the Japanese.
If you ask the indigenous people of Taiwan, they will probably tell you that because the Japanese are afraid of them, and the Japanese government afraid that they will fight against them, and they will cause trouble again, they will seek to divide up their power. However, the migration problem is not stated in the official Japanese literature. The official Japanese literature always tells us that they were moved to improve the lives of these indigenous people.
After the relocation of the village, the economic production of the Tzu changed from farming and hunting to rice farming. It was a taste of life and economic changes. However, decades later, the changes feared at that time became the main economic income of the current residents. After nearly 90 years of migration, tribal cultures also had many conflicts. After all, the 6 Tzu communities had internal wounds that would later hurt each other. In the early days, because of their hatred, they did not communicate with each other and could not marry. Huang Lixing, who retired from the police, almost could not get married with his wife.
We're also subject to many twists and turns in order to get married. We in Wushe were controlled by the Japanese, as various tribes were used to clash with other tribes, and we will also chop their heads off. They'll also kill us and take our heads to receive award.
Talking about peace, there is also Japan, which the Tzu people hate the most. Japanese culture and customs were also subtly integrated into the Qingliu village.
The dishes we gave our VIP guests is red bean and glutinous rice. This is all leftover from Japanese colonization. Some of it has become our traditional culture. In principle, we should have our own rituals, but these things are gone now. Instead, we have things that have been left over, and we should go to other tribes to try to copy these customs and make them ours.
On the 90th anniversary of the Wushe incident, the scars of history have reappeared, and the Qingliu village is no longer an isolated island that fends for itself in the wind and rain. However, cultural subjectivity in history has changed this indigenous culture, which is constantly migrating, constantly seeking the right balance.
High school sophomore Xu Weiyou suffered from transverse myelitis 4 years ago. He worked hard during his rehabilitation process and never gave up on life. This year, he is also one of the recipients of the Tzu Chi New Shoot Scholarship.
Sophomore Xu Weiyou suffered from transverse myelitis in middle school, as his neck and below were paralyzed, which caused breathing problems. From medical treatment to physical therapy, Xu Weiyou now can use a wheelchair to move on his own. He previously wanted to become a professional baseball player, but unfortunately fell ill. But he still strives for the best on the path of education. Xu Weiyou is the Tzu Chi New Shoot Scholarship recipient of this year. The stories displayed on screen has everyone witnessed his courage and strength at the venue.
最感谢妈妈在就是刚发病
The person I want to thank the most is my mother, as she took care of me and stayed with me while I was sick. Of course, the process is tough for her, and now I hope in the future I can take care of myself.
现在也是希望自己在未来一定可以把自己顾好。
师姐他们每次都很客气啊，就只说。
The Tzu Chi sisters are very polite. They keep on telling me that they are sorry for bothering us. Actually, I feel happy because there are people like them giving us energy and caring for us. Certainly, I feel very happy.
一个坚强的妈妈，好。
She's a strong mother and we learn many things from her. We can learn more from the son, looking at his strength and well, and seeing if we can be like him, we have to be strong.
Refusing to bow down to fate and living a meaningful life, Xu Weiyou is living proudly and brightly as he passes challenges.
One of the New Shoe Scholarship recipients, Liu Yuchen, had a tough life as his parents were divorced since his childhood. Although he is only able to see with one eye only, he still works hard and has set up a club in his university to care for the homeless. Here's more.
它是一个最典型。
The homeless are the most typical and the most nakedly presented group who are in need.
Treats for the Homeless is a fan page originated from a student organization. He is one of the promoters and also the editor of this networking site.
I'm Liu Yuchen. My current situation is that my right eye is on strike, while my left eye has a visual acuity of about 0.4 to 0.5.
He only has his left eye to see, which is a challenge and also an obstacle on his path of study.
He never sits in his place, but always sits near the teacher's podium because he can't see.
Similar to his father, he has congenital retinal detachment. After his parents divorced, the father and son pair lived a hard life.
We have to pay some money like book fees to school. When I saw the amount, I would think of the words like difficulty and poverty. They are not just vocabularies, but also a feeling of mine.
Poverty and inferiority almost overwhelmed him in his childhood. When he shut himself off from the world, he met Tzu Chi volunteers. It has been already 8 years since Tzu Chi volunteers walked into their lives, keeping them company and sending supplies to them regularly.
When we first met him, he was a very introverted kid and didn't talk much.
I will grow up as time passes, yet Tzu Chi aunties will still come as usual.
From a grade 6 little boy to a third-year college student, Yu Chen is becoming more and more cheerful.
I think I can come out of the dark mainly because I was seen. Tzu Chi auntie's visit and Tzu Chi scholarship gave me a lot of affirmation.
After meeting him, volunteers never gave up caring for him. They witnessed Yu Chen's transformation with their grey hair. Now, Yu Chen extends his feeling of being valued and walks into the corner of society in his own way.
After more than 20 years of coordination and planning, the Miaoli Sanyi Tzu Chi Chinese Medicine Hospital officially broke ground and is expected to be completed in 2 years. Let's take a look.
The groundbreaking ceremony of Sanyi Tzu Chi Chinese Medicine Hospital and Sanyi Jinshi Hall were held in Tzu Chi Sanyi grounds.
Over the past 2 decades of efforts, the whole process was very complicated, but the master upholds the spirit of taking care of the people in Sanyi and safeguards their health.
Sanyi Township needs medical resources. After more than 20 years of coordination and planning, the Sanyi Tzu Chi Chinese Medicine Hospital has finally broken ground. It is expected to be completed in 2 years. 5 specialty clinics will be set up, combining with long-term care to provide professional services.
We will satisfy the medical needs of these residents in Sanyi Township. Through such a hospital, we can provide our Sanyi residents with the medical services they deserve.
In the future, Sanyi Tzu Chi Chinese Medicine Hospital, Sanyi Jinxi Hall, and Humanitarian Tea Academy will all be set up here. They not only safeguard the health of the residents, but also aid local development.
Of course, Sanyi Township will benefit the most. However, the entire Miaoli County, even for the places in the central region, will also benefit. After the establishment of Tzu Chi's Chinese Medicine Hospital, more people who have confidence in Chinese medicine will be served in the future.
In addition to medical and long-term care services, the entire Sanyi grounds will also integrate with the community to care for the disadvantaged and implement community development, trying to make Sanyi into a township dedicated to health promotion.
In Malaysia, although the pandemic has started to worsen once again, the pre-certified volunteer training camp was not cancelled. Abiding to the epidemic prevention procedures, Tzu Chi Malaysia chapter held the training course which benefited the volunteers in training. Everyone has the same wish, that is, for the pandemic to end soon so that everyone can be safe. Abiding to the epidemic prevention procedure, everyone must scan the QR code before entering indoors. This is the pre-certified volunteer training camp. Participants came even though the pandemic is still ongoing.
We can see the love from the brothers and sisters. They have prepared this event mindfully. They completely followed the government's prevention SOP. In this time of the pandemic, I was touched by the Master's teaching. I hope to be a certified volunteer as soon as possible so I can contribute more.
The speakers for the training camp were experienced Tzu Chi volunteers. They spoke on the 4 missions and 8 footprints to let the volunteers in training have a better understanding of Tzu Chi. However, there's another special task instilled for this group of volunteers in training.
During the training camp, we were given a task. That is to write a short personal essay on the Master's sermon, because in the future, we will need to write every day so that we can learn the essence of the teachings by the Master.
To become a certified Tzu Chi volunteer, one must practice the 10 precepts of Tzu Chi. Loving all beings is most important. We must not kill animals, it is the most important. We need to practice what the Master has taught us and should practice adopting a vegetarian diet from now on.
I hope to follow the Master's footsteps along the path of Qiji. We need to shoulder the responsibility of the world as there are many disasters nowadays. It's truly heartbreaking to see so many sentient beings suffer. So I hope I can contribute a little in helping the Master to shoulder the responsibility to protect our earth.
Everyone has made a vow to stay strong and walk on the Bodhisattva path, hoping to help and bring blessings to everyone. The superintendent of the Tzu Chi Hualien Medical Center, Dr. Ling Xingrong, recently held the launching of his second book on the hardships of patients with brain diseases. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you and goodbye.